Chael will always have his back, as he helped make Chael with many promos written for him back in the day. Anything that was brilliant rhyming and rhythmic that Chael said to hype his fights, generally that was written by Douglas Crosby. Did he write down the story about where the Nogueira brothers tried to feed a carrot to a bus? If Crosby wrote the line about the Nogueira brothers trying to feed a carrot to a bus, then I take it back. He deserves the credit. It's a great line, actually, but oh my God, dude. Chael just sits there like stone faced as Tito's ex-wife. And you can just see he knows that's a headshot line, dude. He just sits there and then he waits as long as he can until Tito snaps. And he's like, that's a nasty line by me. It's so fucking great.
Tito always says I'm using my mouth to get my opportunities. The only person I know that made money using their mouth is his ex-wife.
Well, just to correct you, I was never no marriage. You're a fucking punk, dude. That's what you call class right here compared to no class.
That was a nasty line.
No class. No class at all. That's why you see him with thongs and jeans and a t-shirt.
All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So we got to talk more about Doug Crosby. And that is because Crosby did Chael's podcast. And I guess the episode was titled Hanging Out with Super Judge Doug Crosby. Something Super Judge Doug Crosby. And listen, on this channel, you will never hear a negative word about Chael ever. And this is not going to be any exception. I will just say that the feedback on that episode was that it was very, very propaganda-like, and he was throwing softballs to Crosby. I can make a very educated guess on why that was and why the episode happened, which I'll talk about in a second. But more importantly, a victim of Doug Crosby's has come forward. An assault victim, actually, has come forward in 2 different places. And I've got the receipts that I will show you guys who he is and what he said. And we'll go through all of that. That's the thing, dude. When it rains, it pours, man. That's the thing is like, from what I've seen here with Crosby, he must have connections. He's got to have something important locked up. Because the walls seem to be closing. The walls are closing in. Remember that? Remember when the mainstream media used to always say that? The walls are closing in. So dumb. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you guys about that. I'll kind of recap what happened. I'll tell you guys about the victim and all that stuff. But first, really quick, I just wanted to say that on this channel, what I ask is that if you're watching your first video, and I apologize due to my subscribers, I have to say this every video. I have to, because it is the agreement. And when new people come, they need to know. You can watch the first video for free. After that, it's a gentleman's agreement. If you're going to watch my content, you can watch all of it, every single thing that I've ever made. It just costs, you have to subscribe. You just have to subscribe. You don't even need to click the bell if you don't want to. Although hopefully I can earn, your favoritism where you're like, God, I don't ever want to miss an upload. But we are shaking on it that you'll subscribe if you're going to watch all of my stuff. It's a gentleman's agreement. Now, also, I'm trying to get to 25,000 on my other channel, Jesse on Everything. It is a better channel than this. I keep telling everyone that. Anyone who watches both will testify to that. As a matter of fact, would you guys testify to that in the comments? It's where I talk about everything that's not MMA. And this video in particular is going to be very, very Jesse on Everything like. It just kind of happens to be that we're talking about MMA people, but it's more about like people in general. And Jesse on Everything's where I normally do that. So give that channel a look and please subscribe. And if you really want to do me a solid, you can go follow me on Instagram and Twitter also, because I never ask about that. And that's why those numbers suck. But anyway, so here's the deal. So Doug Crosby, obviously, if you don't know who he is he's a super judge. He is a super judge if being super means that you've judged 1 billion fights. He's an OG in the game, dude. He's judged so many fights, but he has been in the middle of a ton of controversy around his cards and people trying to figure out what his, what his criteria is and whether or not he's, making bad calls on purpose. He's been accused of some things because he had relationships with fighters, conflict of interest. Ray Longo directly was like, what is this guy doing judging these fights? Another fighter whose name is escaping me right now straight up said in his press conference, what is he doing judging this fight? Like he knows both of us, whatever. He's completely not impartial. In the Masvidal and Al Iaquinta fight, apparently he was in some kind of beef with Al Iaquinta and his team, and he was the only judge that gave it to Masvidal, and he scored all 3 rounds for Masvidal, which is obviously pretty suspect. And honestly, I mean, look, I don't know Doug Crosby. I've never had a conversation. I've never even seen him speak. I listened to a little bit of Chael's podcast. I actually think that one point that he made about the judging that was interesting, I'll talk about in a second, actually. But he obviously knows the fight business, and it's not like he's like some bumbling moron. It's not like he got on Chael's and I do judging because paper. Like, what? Well, I mean, like, why did you make that? I don't. He's obviously like an articulate guy, but he's also a bully. He's also a bully that did the get in the hole thing, obviously, because now we're going to talk about an assault victim of his in a second. So, it is what it is. But yeah, so, well, let me just say that real quick. So the thing that he said that I thought was interesting was in the new MMA judging, apparently effective grappling is supposed to be scored equally to effective striking. Now, here are my thoughts on that. How the fuck are you supposed to judge that exactly? What does that even mean? And this is going to be a Doug Crosby video, but I'm going to just stop for a second and then reiterate how stupid the judging criteria is in MMA, because effective grappling, what does that mean exactly? Like, what does that mean? Okay, a person like, Gordon pins Patty against the fence and just holds him there. He's, I guess, more effectively grappling than Patty. And then let's say Patty lands 8 punches to his face and he lands 2. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously it's a hard round to judge either way, but I'm just saying, like, dude, in jiu-jitsu tournaments, if I pass his guard and get to side control, points. If I get mount, points. If I have a submission attempt, points. Like, if you can turn jiu-jitsu into a point-based win or lose, you can do it for MMA. I mean, I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah. But it was interesting because he says effective grappling is supposed to count as much as effective striking. Now, I didn't like cross-check the rule, but I would assume that he's not going to say something like completely wrong on Chael's fucking, propaganda podcast. So anyway, I don't know. This is just notable. So, anyway, but I think the reason why you're ending up on my channel talking about this is because I did a video last week, or about maybe 8-9 days ago, which showed the story that Chael told about Doug Crosby while using a pseudonym about Get in the Hole, right? I assume a lot of you guys have probably seen that video since it got 167,000 views so far. It also came from Keith Riddle's video, and he did the whole thing, and he's the one who actually showed that it was Doug Crosby. I just remembered that. And then so when and he sent it to me, and then I remembered that when all this Doug Crosby thing happened with the Patty fight and the Bellator fight, and I was like, oh, it seems like a good time to put this out, because I am a YouTube genius. In case you guys didn't know, who do you think won MMA Content Creator of the Year on Thick Boy Studios today? Me, son. I did. MMA Creator of the Year. Or wait, I'm sorry. MMA Content Creator of the Year on Thick Boy Studios. What's up, dude? Thank you, Shab. And thank you to that team. I totally agree with that decision, even though I probably would have given it to Bisping. But I'll take it. I'll take it all day, dude. It'd just be boring to give it to Chael, man. Like, it's like, oh, Chael, Content Creator of the Year. You're like, okay. I mean, obviously, give it to the young buck that's coming to eat everybody's motherfucking lunch, son. Anyway, so yeah. So that story is insane. The Get in the Hole story is completely insane. And it triggers everybody when they hear it because of the, like, it like brings back experiences that I'm sure a lot of people had who had been physically bullied when they were younger by groups of people, generally their friends. That's the thing about that story is like, that's not bullying that happens among people at school that like, where it's like a bunch of mean kids and like, well, I guess that actually could happen. The Get in the Hole. If you guys don't remember, like they basically 3 guys ganged up on this guy and were trying to like throw him into a hole. They had no idea how deep it was, so on and so forth. And, like this guy's buddy, John's buddy, is like punching him in the ribs. They're trying to literally pull the knife on him. It's like totally insane. But the way that story sounds to me is like a thing that happens when like you're actually like a close group of friends that are like in high school, and you've got like 1 or 2 guys that like are kind of like the dudes that you guys fuck with, that like you pick on. And then this kind of thing happens where like, they're in your crew, but they're the victim all the time. And then this kind of thing happens, I don't know about necessarily the fucking knife on him, but like, you wrap him up, hog tie him, shit like that. Stuff you think is funny when you're fucking 16. And then you grow up when you're older and you're like, what kind, like, kids are fucking hyenas. Like, what the hell's wrong with them? Regardless of which side of that you were on. And generally, you've probably been on both sides. like me. I've been on both sides of that, like when I was, early in my teens, I would have been the hog tie one. And when I got older, I started being the guy that would be the hog tire in just, it's better than getting fucking hog tied, dude. And I feel equally shitty about both. Turned me into the, the character that you see today, though. Nobody hog ties me now. But nonetheless, I think that's why everybody was just like, what the fuck? Because they can relate to what that feels like, and it's awful. It's the worst fucking feeling in the world, And you have to because not only are you getting bullied, it's not like you can even really fight back. You have to pretend like you're laughing along with them while simultaneously why are my friends fucking hog tying me and gonna throw me down you know what? I've never hog tied anybody. I don't even know why the fuck I even said that. That's not true. That's not fucking true. That's fucking not true. I never did that. That's just completely not true. And when I was in a fraternity, I never hazed anyone. Never. I did, dude. I did whatever in that fucking place, but I never hazed pledges because why? Why do I want that to be their impression of me when they get into the fraternity? They're like, oh, that's the guy that fucking dumped trash on my head and told me that I was a shitty pledge. Like, what the fuck? And seriously, this entire, this personality in general is just fucking weird to me, dude. It's fucking weird. In those same years, anyone will testify. If anybody that somebody that I didn't know, pressed me, I fucking took their teeth. But people that I'm buddies with, I'm not gonna bully people that I'm friends with. And actually, every time I took someone's teeth, generally they were fucking with one of my friends or, Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But I watch people in that environment where now they've got a green light to fuck with people. And guys that are nice dudes would turn into monsters. Monsters. And you'd watch them with the pledge. And you're like, Jesus, where the fuck did that come from, you creep? You had that inside you? So when you're hanging out with us and in your mind, you're like, go fill up your backpack with rocks. Fucking run down to the train tracks. You fucking disgusting little mongrel. It's like, Jesus, man. Jesus. What the fuck's wrong with you, man? That came way too naturally to you. Anyway, so yeah, that's why that kind of triggers everybody, right? But so John Trotsky is the guy who's the victim of that getting the whole story. And on my video, he commented the following. He said, for the record, I can confirm that Doug Crosby is Steve from Chael Sonnen and One Crazy Story. I'm John, who he was trying to shove in the hole. Chael was protecting Doug because Crosby wrote many of Chael's promos. Anything that came off as poetry or rhymes, I've heard DC tell him and many others, I made you, I can break you. So Crosby said that to Chael. I made you, I can break you. I don't know how the hell he would break Chael at this point. But Crosby is deeply connected in many of the MMA and movie businesses. He got Randy Couture, GSP, Chael, and dozens other into SAG. Now that is very valuable. Getting into SAG is super valuable. That's the Screen Actors Guild. It's it's the union for actors. Super valuable. But I don't give a fuck about that. You try to throw a dude in a hole, But I will say this. Look, in fairness, like I said, I don't know him, dude. I don't know him at all. That story might just be this weird outlander thing. Although the other story Chael told about how he played the victim, about, asked Chael to call in a favor to fucking Chris Jericho. And it was and then he's screaming at Chael about whatever. That was fucking weird too. And, but again, I don't know him. Maybe those are two weird random stories. And in most of the time he's out helping people. He's like, dude, you want to get in SAG? I'll give him fucking credit for that. If he got those guys in SAG, that's hugely fucking helpful to those guys. Really helpful. But if he's saying, I made you, I can break you, maybe he's not doing it necessarily out of the goodness of his heart. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's doing it, because he's like, hey, famous guy, you'd be a good guy to owe me a favor, huh? That's just smart business. You know what I mean? That's just smart business. You're always better off giving people things or protecting people, versus versus asking for shit, You don't want to be the one asking for shit. I hate asking people for shit. Anyway, so that brings us to, I'm sorry. And then Trotsky also commented on another post related to this. And he said, and it's John, this 14, well, I guess now it's about 20 hours ago. He says, this was in reference to Chael and Crosby's episode that they did together. And Trotsky says, before anyone starts feeling sorry for Crosby, I'd like to remind you that he is Steve from Chael's One Crazy Story and sort of tried to kill me once. He's a lyrical wordsmith and can talk his way out of anything. Chael will always have his back, as he helped make Chael with many promos written for him back in the day. Anything that was brilliant rhyming and rhythmic that Chael said to hype his fights, generally that was written by Douglas Crosby. Doug is a genius, but that genius is also what makes the good in him trumped by the devil within. So Trotsky apparently has not forgiven, like, you know, getting the whole story, Trotsky's like, you know, he's like, I'm cool with Crosby. Like, we're good. And I think probably Chael's conversations with him about it probably kind of woke him up to like, dude, why are you cool with this guy? You know, like what? Why are you cool with him? And so now he's making sure that people know. He's like, dude, I was the victim of this shit. Like that getting the hole, that actually happened. That happened to me. You know, that happened to me. Stuck a knife in my side as a grown man. He corrupted one of my friends again. He enlisted someone who's my friend to physically assault me and help him throw me in a hole. Like, you know, I can understand why he's putting that out there. Now, saying that anyone made Chael, I don't care if he wrote all of those motherfucking rhymes, dude. Like, dude, at your fucking best, you're getting 25% credit for those moments that you wrote. Max, dude. Maximum 25%. Did he write down the story about where, the Nogueira brothers tried to feed a carrot to a fucking bus? You know, pretty sure that's a Chael original, dude. Actually, you know what? That's the test. If Crosby wrote the line about the Nogueira brothers trying to feed a carrot to a bus, then I fucking take it back. He deserves the credit, right? If he's getting that deep in the weeds, he deserves it. But it didn't rhyme, and I'm pretty sure that was a Chael original. Dude, Chael was the fucking best ever at delivering fucking shit talk ever. If you forget, go watch a fucking highlight reel of him, of like Chael's greatest lines and shit. He's fucking hilarious, dude. And his best stuff is on the fly. Now, you know what? If Crosby's writing his stuff, let me tell you what I want to know. Did he write the line that Chael dropped on Tito about using his, only person using their mouth to get money is Tito's ex-wife? If fucking Crosby wrote that, then I'm just going to go like this. All the shit that I said about the get in the hole, I retract it, dude. Like, that's normal. If he wrote that line, dude, he's the fucking man. That was the funniest shit ever, dude. But actually, in fairness, the reason that was so funny was Chael's delivery. Now, Chael's delivery is why it was so funny. It's a great line, actually, but fuck, oh my God, dude. Chael just sits there like stone-faced as Tito's ex-wife. And you can just see he knows that's a headshot line, dude. He just sits there and then he waits as long as he can until Tito snaps. And he's like, that's a nasty line by me. It's so fucking great, dude. That's the funniest shit ever. That's like the funniest moment from a press conference ever. Anyway, I'm sidetracked. So the last thing I was going to say is I'm just going to speculate on the origin of the podcast episode that Chael and Crosby did. Probably originated from a combination of things. A, Crosby apparently is Chael's boy, either buddies enough to where he's writing shit for Chael, whatever. You know, apparently Chael probably owes him a favor at some point. But here's the thing too, right? Like, Crosby's taking a ton of shit. He needed to come out and say something. Chael has the biggest platform in MMA YouTube, and also the video I just did got 166,000 views, and I used the story that Chael told, to basically indict Doug for one of the ugliest incidents that, like, people. Have you guys read the comments on that video? I mean, people are just like, this is absolutely insane. That's exactly the reaction I had. If that happened when they were 16, I'd be like, well, I bet that fucking kid grew up to be a serial killer. Anyway, but I think that, Crosby started taking so much shit that he's like, this is your fucking fault, Chael. If you're going off of how he reacted to, Chris Jericho not doing the favor for the kid, I would imagine that in this case, he'd be like, you fucked me. You put those fucking videos out, and now these stories are out there, and like, I'm getting killed, dude. And so Chael's like, look, dude, I'll do my best. We'll do some propaganda. It's exactly what I would do. If it was me, I told some fucking story about my buddy under a pseudonym, and then it turned out, that it came out. Yeah, I would do that. The only time that's happened on this channel, Jesus, man. I told the stories. When I first started this channel, it was MMA, but then I would also mix in stories, like just stories from when I was younger. And I would tell all these stories from me and my buddies, and I told this one story about a buddy of mine who, when we were in Cabo, he was so blacked out, he brought home this Mexican prostitute who buddy of mine brings home a prostitute when we're in our early 20s. This is whatever. That's not a big notable thing, man. But this one in particular, you wouldn't pay $11 for it. You wouldn't, or I wouldn't have gone there if they were paying me whatever her rate was, for sure, no matter how drunk I was. But he brings her back, and he's so fucking blitzed. He's looking at us like, and we're like, bro, are you fucking serious? If she wasn't a professional, if this was just a random girl from the club, we'd be like, what are you doing, dude? Listen, man, I'm down to jump on a grenade if whatever, but this is way beyond anything that's even remotely acceptable. And then they proceeded to hollow out a light bulb and smoke crystal meth out of it. This is not a person who would ever do that. Ever. Now, this is 20 years ago. This was actually 20 years ago. So just so we're clear, this is 20 years ago that I was even anywhere near a thing like that. That's as a matter of fact, I didn't even see it. I've never even seen that stuff before. But that did happen. Anyway, so I told that story, and I told the whole story. And he saw it, and he was so pissed at me. I'm like, dude, how would anyone ever know it's you? He's all, and he made me take it down. And so I did. And now I just put it up again. But there's so much less information that there's no way that, Anyway, that is probably enough. So, love you guys. Peace.